Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'd like to call the Monday, October 23rd, 2023 Finance, Audit, and Budget Committee to order. First item is Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next item is adoption of agenda. Need a motion to adopt. Support. Moved by Commissioner Kraft, supported by Commissioner Haw. Seeing no changes, please vote. Still sick.
Yes. He's not going to be here today.
Motion passes 10-0.
Next item is approval of minutes dated October 17th, 2023. Need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Made by Commissioner Van Sickle, supported by Commissioner Grott. Any corrections, Commissioners? Seeing none, please vote.
Motion passes 10-0.
Next item is public participation. This is a first opportunity for public participation for those who would like to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes on an item which is on today's agenda. There will also be a second opportunity for public participation for those who would like to speak on any issue. Anyone from the public like to speak? Agenda items only. Going once, twice. We'll close public participation. Next is budget reviews. First one is facilities and operations. This is budget page C 33 and 34. There's also a handout, Commissioners, with a couple, I would say, corrections or changes. The total expenses are still the same, just the line items changed slightly. We have Ben here, so I'm going to just take a motion for all three of these, A, B, and C, to receive and file. Moved by Commissioner Wallace, supported by Commissioner Perna. Afternoon, Ben.
Afternoon, Commissioner. Good afternoon, everyone. I first must say I'm proud that Lynn left me a lot of notes about my budget presentation, so I was able to kind of follow her very detailed notes I'm preparing for today. The Facilities and Operations Department is responsible for maintenance and operation of county facilities. We are currently maintaining approximately 1.8 million square feet of properties plus the grounds. This includes our newest facility, Faith Christian School, which houses 26,000 square foot building and is sitting on 5.1 acres of land. Most of that is green space and or athletic fields. Facilities and operations completely staffed is 90.5 employees. We include custodians, security personnel, skilled trades, HVAC personnel, the safety coordinator for the county, and administrative staff. Over the past few years, our staffing level has fluctuated due to retirements and positions that we've been struggling to fill for various reasons. Budgetarily, F&O is responsible for a multitude of line items and categories. These include all utilities, gas, electric, water, sewer, property insurance, paving projects, tuck pointing, building envelope issues and projects, roofing repair and replacement, trash collection and recycling, janitorial supplies, equipment repair and maintenance, building repair and maintenance, elevator repair and maintenance, fire, mechanical, plumbing, alarms, and all the associated equipment, miscellaneous remodeling, which is small building improvements across the county, mechanical and electrical, plumbing contingency, and underground sewer contingencies. Our trades and HVAC personnel are assigned work through a paperless work order system we instituted a few years ago. Departments within the county have requesters. These requesters submit work order requests through the system. Once received by our office, it is assigned to the trades, HVAC, and or custodial staff needed to complete the work orders. Once completed, labor and expenses are applied to the work order. We send it to finance coded to the appropriate building and or line item for budgeting. I'm very proud to say our trades and HVAC personnel are on track for 7,000 completed work orders this year. So obviously we're just into October, but just tracking our history. November and December slow down a little bit, but we're tracking a multitude of work orders. Our custodial staff are spread throughout the county facilities with various areas assigned to them to clean daily. They're also an integral part of the snow removal efforts at our facilities. We also have security personnel. Security personnel cover multiple shifts. Primary responsibilities include opening and closing our facilities, monitoring the parking deck, daily walkthrough of our facilities and grounds, and alert needed parties after hours if any equipment appears to not be functioning correctly. So the overall increase to our budget from the 2023 amended budget to the 2024 recommended budget was approximately $1,937,000. The main contributing factor to this overall increase in our budget for 2024 is by far the utilities. We are currently looking at increasing all categories of utilities, electric, gas, water, and sewer, based on current utilization of the 2023 utilities budget. Using electric as just an example, we were at 129% utilization of our 223 electrical budget as of August 31st, 2023. Due to the workday transition and utility billing schedules, which are somewhat random, believe it or not, this is the most up-to-date information we currently have. I'm requesting for 2024 an increase of $1,729,000 covering electric, gas, and water sewer utility bills. I'm no means an expert in utilities. However, anticipating the rates continuing the trend upwards, as recent of October 1st of this year, the Michigan Public Service Commission approved a $95 million rate hike for consumers' energy regarding capital improvement needs for the natural gas infrastructure in Michigan. Personnel costs are also expected to increase in 2024 due to the upcoming 6% wage increase in January. We are anticipating a difference of $849,564 between the 2023 budget and 2024. Another category we have increased overall is repair and maintenance. We are budgeting for an overall increase in this category in the amount of $26,000. This category is made up of some of those items I discussed earlier: building repair, equipment repair, roofing, floor covering, building envelopes, tuck pointing, etc. Majority of increases within this category are captured within two categories. That's building envelope, which is sometimes referred to as tuck pointing, but building envelope, tuck pointing, and paving projects. For tuck pointing, building envelope projects, we're looking forward to move on several very important items to maintain our infrastructure. Repairing and cleaning up exterior wall on the north portion of the court. This is where the old parking structure connected, and oftentimes you'll see it if you're coming south down Main Street. What's happened is we're seeing an area where the concrete is failing, where they kind of made the break from the old parking structure. It's due to water infiltration and generally looks poor. Remove and replace the lower granite panels at the old county building. These panels need to be removed to properly waterproof the building from the elements. We're anticipating waterproofing will
Ben,
eliminate.
sorry to cut you off there, but I know you're going through the capital improvement.
Now, these are all operating.
Are these all operating still? Okay,
Yep.
so we'll do the operating ones first, and then we'll do the
Yeah,
the ones separately.
Yep, separate, yep. So remove and replace lower granite panels at the old county building. These panels need to be removed to properly waterproof that facility. We are trying to eliminate the leaks that are currently happening in the county building basement and the infamous tunnel. Miscellaneous repairs at Baltimore Court, it's just exterior deterioration we're trying to correct. Paving projects, the South Court porch, it's deteriorating. 2 years ago or a year ago, we replaced the North Court porch, so we're looking to flip-flop, do the same thing, which will include waterproofing, basement protection, etc. For Cooling North parking lot has failed and has been resealed many times over, so we're looking to remove that and replace it. And then resealing of the parking deck. This will be a standard operate item we should expect to see every year. The rooftop parking area of the parking deck has a traffic coating on it. The traffic coating protects the concrete from wear and tear of the weather. It's important to keep up on this coating to ensure the longevity of that concrete in our new parking deck. This subsection of our budget, it's important to note they are offsetting increases by decreasing multiple line items, including floor covering, roof and repair maintenance, the mechanical, electrical, plumbing contingency, and the underground sewer and plumbing contingency. Some minor items, we're asking for an increase in travel budget, amount of $4,900. looking to send 2 employees to the International Facility Management Association World Conference in October 2024. These conferences are historically not attended by our department, and I would like the opportunity to expand our network. Lastly, we are requesting an additional $19,200 funding for a capital outlay account. This is to purchase several pieces of custodial equipment that are long overdue. Equipment in this category includes, but isn't limited to, snow blowers, salt wagons, floor buffing machines, leaf blowers, and riding floor scrubbers. So that's all I have. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ben. So Commissioners, we're just working on page C33 and C34 right now, and then we'll go into the capital improvement plan for Ben for his department. Commissioner Van Sickle?
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Ben.
Afternoon.
Do you know, do we get hit with the DTE charge at the 3 PM to 7 PM penalty charge?
I'm unsure. I could find out from our DTE rep for
Hey,
you.
I didn't know if that was just residential or whether businesses also.
Yeah, I'll inquire with our account rep. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Ben, last year in your budget, you had one new hire.
Yes, sir.
It was an electrician. Has that position been filled?
Yes, sir.
It has?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And in regards to charges for services, that's dropped almost 50% at least, over 50% specifically. What are we not charging any longer for? Because that's a big
Change the
drop.
magic formula.
No longer.
That's where I call for backup.
No longer charging for building use at Martha T. Berry due to the expiration of the building use agreement in the end of '22.
Okay.
So we used to charge them building use, and that was essentially used to pay the debt service on the construction bonds from 20 years ago. Those were retired in '22. So those rental charges are included in the 2023 amended budget. Those probably need to be, that probably needs to be amended because we are not charging them in '23.
Last question I have is, last year's budget, you had a surplus of over $700,000. What was that specifically for?
Steve. Joe. I love deferring to Steve.
You're making it easy on you,
Yeah.
Ben.
I didn't go through line item by line item, but I do know 480,000 was from vacancies. So in the personnel line item, so you had another 300,000 in various operating line items. I did note here, I don't have the dollars written down, but tuck pointing was one of them. So in various operating accounts.
Right,
I can get you more detail if you want.
Well, specifically right now in your department, Ben, how many vacancies do you have?
I think we're at 3.5 right now.
3.5 FTE?
This year, we've been close to 5 to 7 at times. We're struggling to fill all positions we have listed. I'm not, I'm hearing kind of the same from my other county partners, and these positions are hard to fill. And then also last year, one of the reasons that we just couldn't get all the projects done, between lead times, engineers, architects, et cetera, being real busy with all the projects going on in Metro Detroit. It just was getting documents on time, getting these projects out to bid and moving forward.
Are all of these FTEs, as far as the vacancies go, are they posted right now?
Yeah, we have custodians post, we had to step back for a second for the workday transition. Just getting the go-ahead now, so we have custodian positions posted, and then we'll post boiler operators.
Okay, great. Commissioner Brown?
Thank you. Speaking of custodians, I mean, your men and women who work for you do a good job keeping this building clean, and it's always in good shape. I mean, not good shape, outstanding shape. I go to other county buildings, and it's not always that way. And it's a reflection of the county, and so I appreciate that. You're the new director now after Lynn and so forth like that, and Lynn had her priorities in the capital plan for things that need repair. Are there any major issues that are coming up that aren't on the capital plan you think we should be thinking about, or maybe, I don't want to disrespect the person retired, but is there anything that needs to be changed in terms of priority? In terms of
Yeah,
priority? I mean,
I understand
have
what
the
you're asking.
priorities changed or anything?
Yeah, so I guess a couple things, there's a lot going on, obviously, with the jail project and everything else we have. The building envelope issues that I talked about that are on my operating, I have quite a few planned for the next few years. I don't foresee any of these buildings going away, and we need to protect them, and that starts on the outside, eliminating water intrusion, failing masonry, etc. So those are really important. The other items that I'm addressing is getting some assessments done on paving, for example, and building envelope to predict my capital plan further out versus just a couple of years. Let's get a paving plan put together with testing and civil engineering help and figure out a long-term plan so we can accurately predict things a little further out and shuffle things around as needed. So really just getting my feet wet with those items. I have a few things listed on the capital plan, which we'll talk about. They're all important. And certainly we hope to do them next year, so.
Everything's important in this county, just
It
a matter
is.
of priorities. It's a matter of priorities, right? That's what it is.
yeah,
And
and
our
every-
job is to spend limited dollars on what the most important things are based on our opinions in the end.
understood.
So, we appreciate that. I've had some calls for maintenance of the front of the building. We got memorials up there. We got the one tall one that's, decaying away and people concerned it's gonna fall down. And then the other ones, the newer ones down closer to, the clerk's office down there. I know we have an agreement with nonprofits they're committed to maintain it and all the rest. How much of an ask would it be to have us roll in and just take care of those and maintain those? It can't be that much.
Yeah, so I've rolled in the cost to deal with the pavers and the shrubbery and plants in this facility. I haven't looked at the other ones yet. Honestly, they're on site, so it's not a big deal to handle.
Because it's perceived as ours, and if they're
Yeah.
not being maintained
Understood. Yep.
properly, it looks bad for us. And, they're veterans memorials and, we should help out with it anyway, but, have your office looked at that? Have you looked at that at all recently?
Yeah, so I looked at this building specifically on an ask from the executive office, so I have accounted for taking care
You
of.
may not be at liberty to say just yet,
Yeah.
but, so you've looked at that?
Yes.
All right, very good. All right, thank you. Thank you,
Appreciate it.
sir.
Thanks for the kind note.
Okay, seeing no additional questions on the operating side, why don't we work on the capital improvement?
Are we skipping that? You want me to talk about?
We can go right to it.
Okay.
So we're looking at the capital improvement plan, just your section then.
Okay.
The building projects,
Yep.
and then there looks like there's one other item, which is the traffic and safety parking structure upgrade.
Yep. So this upcoming year, one unusual thing you'll see, and I cannot promise this in future budgets, is there is no jail items on there. Those jail items were wrapped into the overall jail project, and we've actually started, really planning and looking forward to doing those. They're all major projects we need to get completed, and I'm looking forward to doing it. The new animal shelter facility, we talked about this, or Mark did, and Andy Fountain from Plant Moran, earlier meeting this month. They're anticipating some costs there, as far as design, engineering fees ahead of the construction of the facility in 2025. The $750,000 is a placeholder until the space needs assessment can happen. Architects can look at it and they can start seeing where that's gonna line up. I have 3 projects here that some of them were in for this year and some were in for next year, and I looked at them as a whole and thought there was some cost savings if we bid them out as one single package. They're marked in the capital plan with asterisks. One is replacing a transformer and pad over at Old Central Receiving, kind of over by the gas pumps, if you're familiar in the service center. That particular transformer is old and it is sinking to the ground, so we need to get a new transformer installed there, a new pad, and secure that. Replacing the electrical substation switches, controls, feeds, and Federal Pacific panels at the court. So this is another electrical item that will be part as one big package. The electrical feeds to the court facility are 40 years old-ish. We had some testing done on it. One of the legs of the DTE feed tested poorly. Not immediate poorly, just it tested that it's degrading over time as they normally do. So we are looking to replace all those feeds into the facility from DTE.
Trying to find it.
The electrical substation switches, again, these are very
down
old.
there.
Electrical substation switches, these control the main power to the facility. We are looking to upgrade, clean that up, brand new electrical substation switches. Then we have 3 Federal Pacific panels that are within the court building, just a regular circuit breaker panel. They're very large. These are very old. You can no longer get parts for these units. During the downtown project, we eliminated, I believe there were 6 others. We eliminated because we were working in those areas, so we installed brand new circuitry and breakers. The final part of that electrical job is the installation of the full building generator at Public Works. We've been in design this year, planning for that full building emergency generator. Over the past couple of years, we have had some struggles with DT feeds to that facility. I think this year alone, we probably lost power at least 6 times due to DTE equipment. We have stressed to our account reps and counterparts at DTE that we want them to take a look at that infrastructure. In the meantime, we are working on this full building generator that will keep all their important systems running for the Public Works Department. We're also including in there Faith Christian miscellaneous remodeling. This is 1.5 million. We're including cost to cover the scope, basically to get the early childhood care or Head Start program running by next school year. So we are anticipating replacing the fire alarm panel, which I believe you guys have heard about. If not, you will. Replacing fire alarm panel, correcting some plumbing, new flooring, just your basic items to get past state licensing and get those people into the facility. Renovation to the F&O main office and relocation of purchasing. I have some money earmarked for that. F&O, we moved into the Vic Wertz building in 2013 as a result of the fire. I like to pride ourselves that we like to take care of all the other departments, and one thing we haven't done is really taking care of our own office. We have a hodgepodge of different cubicle systems, storage systems, and as we, kind of expand and hire more people or centralize some of our services, we want to redo our office. Additionally, purchasing was recently moved out of the finance space. They are temporarily being housed at the Comtech facility. And we have some basic conceptual drawings to move them into a space at the Macomb building as well. Vic Wertz building as well. Building management system, that is our, it's the control system that controls our HVAC around the county. We earmark about $25,000 a year to upgrade or add new thermostats. All those thermostats, it's a software system, so we can make changes to the HVAC system remotely if we need to. They can do it from their phones. They can see what's happening real time with that equipment. And then the last item, the parking deck. The parking deck, what has occurred is, and I'm not IT, I promise. What has occurred with the parking deck is the entry systems are obsolete for the new credit card securities. So we are required to if we're gonna take credit cards, we are required to replace the servers and the equipment itself. And for what I'm hearing from traffic and safety, all of the equipment has a shelf life depending on what they do with credit card securities. So that time is running out, our window with those credit card securities. So if we do nothing, we will no longer be able to take credit cards. We would have to switch to a cash system or not have a system at all. This does not affect the parking deck access for employees. It's a badge scanning system that's totally separate from the pay system. So that's all I
Okay, Ben, well done.
have.
First one's tough.
The first one is tough, yes.
So, let's see here. I've got some questions, but
Sure.
I'll open up to the floor first. Okay, everyone's quiet today, so I'll start us off. Purchasing $750,000 for your department. In regards to what you have here, renovation and modernization of the print shop space. So where will the print shop then go?
That's a good question.
So that's all wrapped up in the discussion I think we had last week about the print shop and what do we do with the print shop? There's a fair amount of space where the print shop is at. If we go a different direction with the print shop, then we could use that space and build it out for purchasing. There's 5 administrative folks in purchasing. If not, there's a wall between where the print shop is in the warehouse that have to be kind of knocked out, and there's a little storage area there where there's shelving for the supplies for the print shop, so it'd be a little bit of a build out.
How much square footage are we talking about here for renovating or modifying it so you guys can have your own space the way that you need it to
I can get
operate?
back to, I'd be taking a guess. We lumped those two together. If you're not familiar, the print shop and the F&O offices, they're right next to each other. There's one wall that separates the two of us. The thought process when I looked at a bid situation is cost. You know, we renovate the space one time versus two, maybe get some economy of scale, that sort of thing. But I can get you the square footage. It's a pretty good size. We're fitting.
I would say the print shop might be as big as this room itself.
Okay.
And then the area where facilities is at, they don't have cubicles or anything. They're all in a big open area with desks, just open desks. There's a few cubicles,
Okay.
but that's a bigger area than the print shop probably.
So you're looking to build it out with cubes or
We have no
offices? Or
offices. We have
you
no
wanna-
offices currently. It's all open. Maybe we're out of our time. We have all open space and open cubicles.
That's the modern.
That's what
design.
everybody
Yeah.
wants, is open space, so.
Maybe if I wait long enough,
We
we'll
could just get you some more tables. you
yeah,
know,
we'll
that's
just
what you
be
need.
cool. Yeah, it's an open space right now. In fact, in the design, you know, we'd like to keep some form of that because we all talk amongst ourselves, all, you know,
Okay.
about.
I mean, based on our conversations last week with in regards to the print shop and just, you know, identifying what we're gonna do there, I think that's obviously part of this whole, you know, plan. So I think the board's gonna want a plan as to, you know, how you wanna move forward on that. I know we've already moved the 1.5 million last week for the renovation of the church for Faith Christian, so that's
different.
different.
Additional, what did we move last week? Just for the cost? Yeah.
Purchase of Faith Christian.
Okay.
So, yeah, they moved the 4.5 million, which included the purchase of Faith Christian, juvenile court demo, abatement, environmental assessments for juvenile court and Faith Christian. There is possibility, and it's actually pretty realistic, that there's going to be money left over in that pot. So I'm not sure how much of that will factor in. We don't have scope yet. You know, we're working on an RFP for architectural services right now. And we're gonna implore some help to get scope as to what we need to do for an early childhood care facility for licensing.
One last question, because I see commissioners now are popping up here on my screen. In regards to the parking structure,
Yes, sir.
so $200,000 expense to upgrade to collect credit card payment. First question would be, how much are we generating in revenue there? And you said this has a really limited shelf life.
It would
So
take
does
us-
this make sense?
It would take us 6 years.
Okay. So I figured it was gonna be at least 5.
I won't lie to you, and now with the jurors, being, I think they're in the red lot now, that'll even reduce that more.
Okay. So I think that, I mean, that's a $200,000 expense that probably doesn't need to happen. Commissioner Brown?
I guess we have to eat the $200,000 for, or is it 200,000 for the credit cards? Because we'll have to replace it probably 3 times before then.
Yeah, it's, it
The
was
cost
kind
of doing business, eh?
surprising to me.
Yeah.
That we've had to upgrade it in small amounts just for, the chips and things like that. But this one it's a total server upgrade and system upgrade.
The DT, you mentioned you've been talking to DT about problems with service. Maybe you ought to elevate that to some of the commissioners. I mean, we talk to DT from time to time, I do, and, I mean,
That'd be very
are
helpful.
are they not responding? What is the problem there? I mean,
Yeah, openly, we struggle a bit with our utility companies, with action and reaction.
where's, and that, the problem was what building again, did you say? it
Public
was?
Works, Public Works gets kind of the worst of it. What happens there is they pretty much blow a fuse on the pole, fairly frequently. But there's real no reason to time of day. It's kind of hard to figure out. A lot of times it's 5 o'clock on a Friday or something lovely.
Well, there's businesses in Mount
Yeah.
Clemens that have recently opened it, sucked up a lot of power, and it's caused problems to some other businesses that I've been involved with DT, trying to get them to take care of their problem with that. Maybe that's on the same circuit, I don't know, but, maybe send me a note on that, and I could reach out to the people at DT that I deal with and, let them know that we're getting bad service.
Yeah, we appreciate, honestly, any help, any of you commissioners can help with utilities, especially just, over the years, we've kind of bounced between account reps and, it can be difficult to navigate, because just the nature of the business, I guess.
It doesn't matter to you too much whether that print shop stays or goes, does it? Just gives you, just another partner next to you, right?
Correct.
That's something I think that we ought to consider, just eliminate that entirely and let them contract it out. We get the service quicker, we get a decent price on it, we bid it out before. It's an unnecessary expense. They couldn't even perform this year, and it put us back. We had to wait forever to get, I talked about this before, it's kind of a pet peeve of mine. That's why it's coming up again, forgive me, but since it came up, I'm using the opportunity. It's just inefficient. It's inefficient and costly for us to do that. We could save that amount of money and put it towards something else, and Lord knows, we got plenty of money. We got plenty of things where we need extra dollars. And, I mean, it's not I would think that, I'm sure the administration's looked at it too. It's a problem for them because it causes problems for them internally just as much as us for us. Probably more so, given what they have to print all the time. But, and you need desk, even though you got the cool workspace, no open workspace. That's the modern stuff. I would see my daughter's office in Grand Rapids, man. They have open workspace, ping pong tables, all the rest is really, I don't know if anyone actually does any work in there, but,
Yeah. It's good until you gotta work on a budget and have some quiet time. It becomes very difficult.
I got some earplugs I could buy.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much. Good job on the presentation.
I
And,
appreciate that.
one more question. How do you, now that you're the director, how do you manage all of this? How do you keep track of all these things? I mean, to lose track of something, it's pretty easy. You've got many buildings to maintain. Just in terms of how do you meet weekly with all of your site managers? How do you manage that?
I gotta give a lot of kudos to our staff, honestly. Joe's here with me today, my deputy director, Joe, has been super helping keep me organized, but, we track capital plan items or major items as we go throughout the year and kind of, like I said, utilizing these software tools that I have to predict, capital expenses ahead of time. Our work order system, for the first time ever, we're able to tie work orders, just starting now, so don't expect too much information yet, but we're just starting now to be able to tie work orders and costs to specific pieces of equipment. And that software will generate information for me to develop the capital budget and operating budget by determining which equipment we're spending the most money on. It's not always age. As we know, some of the older equipment works better. So the obvious answer is just utilizing the tools that we have. We've implemented 2 software programs, a facilities management program that we're able to track, and then our work order system, we finally have the ability to really hone in on buildings, floors, departments, et cetera, that we never had before without doing a whole lot of data entry.
What kind of system? You said you got,
We have a facilities management software. It started with a blueprint. It started with a scanning project that the board approved. God, it's been probably 5 years now, 6 years. scanned in all of our documents, small and large, all our blueprints, and categorized it by building. It's a file folder system. It's fairly complicated. But we can access the information quickly, and our trades staff can access it real time on their tablets. So they can immediately pull up pictures, blueprints, documents, O&M manuals, specifications,
So
warranties.
you don't lose track of anything,
No.
and it's not dependent on the people that were working in the file whenever they did it.
Correct. Yeah, and these systems allow us to put in warranty information where it shoots you an email when your warranty's about up, so you can call for that service before your warranty runs out. So the utilizing the new technologies has been super helpful. And the more data and the more time we spend in these programs, the more accurately we can predict things in the future.
I'm glad to see that you're increasing your travel budget, because there's value to be, no, I'm serious, because
Yeah.
there's value in going to conferences. You don't know it all, and, you know, if you don't get out there and see what other people are doing, you're gonna miss, and you're gonna remain static and obsolete. I mean, the technology that you're bringing in your office to help you do your job is a reflection of that.
Yep, and we've met, as of recently, I've met with two counties, they're my counterparts there, so expanding our network locally as well, and bounce resources off each other, so.
And you wanna do your job well, you're a new director, you probably wanna, you've got your own ideas, and you wanna, you know, raise the bar a bit, and,
Absolutely,
and I support you doing that, so
I
thank you.
appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Kraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ben, nice job. My
appreciate
questions are
that.
for Steve, so you can take a break for a
Yeah,
second.
thank God,
Steve, just a few quick ones for you.
no offense.
One of them pertains to the New Baltimore Court, the boilers on the rooftop. The funding source is other sources. What's anticipated there? Is that state sources?
No, there's a portion of all the court fines that go into a special fund on our books specifically for building repairs.
Okay.
So that's where that's coming from.
Okay, thank
We
you.
funded a project or two. There's one fund for New Baltimore, one for Romeo, and we funded projects out of one or both of those funds in the past.
Okay, perfect. And then when it comes to the items that are in the bond section, you know, you have the windows for 5 million, you have another one for 450,000 for demolition, and then the VERC, you know, for 47 million. Is that something that you plan to bond out separately if we go that route, or lump them all together if possible? What's the plan there?
Depending on where funding comes in, I would propose or hope that we'd be able to issue one bond
bond, okay.
for both. If you'll remember, Commissioner Brown will remember, back in the early 2000s, we did a renovation project at both Martha T. Berry and the youth home, and we issued one bond issue for both projects.
Okay.
Be something similar.
Okay. And then my last question, some of the projects listed here have asterisks at the end. Is there any particular reason for
I think
that?
those are what Ben was referring to
Those are-
earlier.
I
Okay.
might lump those together to try to get, as one, they're not necessarily a great package, as three, they're really good electrical package.
Got
So,
it.
Trying to encourage additional bidders, we've struggled on past projects, so really trying to get it out there in the market and get a better response, I guess.
Great. Thank you both. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Chair. Ben, great report for your first time out of the chute.
Thank you.
I've added up about 640,000 in jail expenditures that are proposed with the new intake center. Are these expenditures going to be still utilized in the new center, or are they going to have to be removed? I'm looking at like jail cameras, key cam, jail door retention intercom system, things like that.
Here's the good news, that's an IT item.
Yeah.
So I get to pass the buck.
Oh, so Jacob's gonna answer that question. Okay, fair enough. Thank you. Thanks, Chair.
No problem. There's a lot there. That's why Ben's just
You had me
handling
sweating
building
there. I'm like,
product.
oh man, what did I miss?
Commissioner Van Sickle.
Thank you. Ben, you talked about water intrusion into our buildings. I'd like to get some focus on vehicle intrusion into our buildings. As we all know, in the past, 6 or 8 months, we've had at least 2 vehicle crashes. And I know you and I have talked about some kind of protection plans. I'd like to get something in the plan to protect our buildings that way.
I will note that.
I know you mentioned
Yep.
either like grade changes or posts or very large flower pots or something, but I'd like to see some money in the budget to do that so we don't have to waste money on repairs. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Appreciate the comment.
Commissioner Perna.
Yes, so thank you for your presentation. I'm just curious, what is your backup system for your backup system?
I guess what are you referring to for electric or for just in general in F&O?
Well, you indicated that what you have as a history that you can fall back on, and which may be more current than some of our today's services. So your backup system is where? Is it on premises?
Yeah, so it depends on the equipment. We keep parts long lead. So what's been challenging this year and last year specifically is long lead times on parts for our equipment. So trying to get ahead of that on long lead items that could potentially take heat down for building, we try to stock some of them. But being mindful that some of those items have shelf life, so we don't want to spend good money for bad. But just keeping track of it via our software, via our trades that are working on equipment day in, day out. I think we got a pretty good handle on the equipment that's out there operating our facilities, any backup that we may have or need, and then utilizing our resources and our vendors if we really need an emergency backup.
So if your current software goes down,
We have paper backup to that, yeah.
is it paper backup or is
Yeah,
it
we have-
electronic backup?
So we have, our facilities management program is hosted on the web and it's through a company, so it's multiple backup locations. But then we also have a whole lot of paper and blueprints and everything in the office. Especially with blueprints and large format documents, sometimes it is easier to lay it on the table and look at it. So we're backed up multiple ways. So I feel confident in that system.
This is off premises, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Right, thank you.
Ben, no other speakers? Well done.
Appreciate it.
I know you had big shoes to fill in this role. You enjoyed doing a great job. Continue it. Love the thought process in combining these electrical jobs. Probably save us about $100,000, I bet. So,
Yeah, design costs, architectural fees, all that. These small projects ends up costing us a lot in just fees. So
okay, thank you so much.
appreciate it. Thanks, commissioners.
Thank you, Ben.
All right, next is information technology, JACO. Same procedure, commissioners. We're gonna start on page C42 of your budget packet, and then we'll move over to the capital improvement plan and all the items that JACO has for technology projects. Afternoon, JACO.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
He's already got mine.
You know, I'll probably start with my general fund budget and just kind of explain the increase that we have of about 2.8 million. I would say most of that come from maintenance. And major contributors to the maintenance line item is, for example, Workday, around about 446,000. The implementation of Carpel at the prosecutor's office, 156,000. Guidehouse, which is the company that's going to provide us support in for Workday over the next year, 535,000. LinkedIn training, which is changing our training system from the current NeoGov system to LinkedIn. And then also Blue Water with a $70,000 increase, which a large part of that is the new ICC center at Comtech. So the total amount there is about 1.8 million. You know, we've talked a lot about IT cost. One of the things that is definitely changing in our market significantly is the move of capital spending more towards your general fund spending. And what I mean by that is these type of maintenance items. As we bring more of these SaaS type solutions, meaning software as a service, on board, that adds maintenance. In the past, those type of financial systems, although not the case with one solution, but those type of systems were hosted locally on-prem in our environment. And you will also see over the next few years reductions in our on-prem costs, as we call it. Because on-premise, we don't need as much computing power as we used to. You still need that because we have a lot of systems still on site, and that will continue for a while, but most of our bigger systems have been moved or we are planning on moving to a software as a service type environment. So I know that's a concern with commissioners, but it's unfortunately one of the things that happen. What happens for us as a department also is the fact that where upgrades in the past was a significant long-term effort and a major disruption for our employees, it's less of that. Now, once your system go into a SaaS type environment, we have less to do with the infrastructure. It is the company that designed the system. It's usually them that host the system or they host it somewhere else. They do the major part of the upgrade. What we focus on more than is testing and things like that to make sure that everything in the new system is working well before you let the upgrade take place. So just want to explain what that's about. One of the other contributors is in our personnel is about $400,000. That is, I would assume, mostly percentage increase for 2024 because we don't have not adding additional staff or anything. And then there's also capital outlay that's higher than what it was the previous years. If I can just give you some history on capital outlay. In the beginning, the capital outlay budget was pretty high when we started the whole process, specifically as far as hardware is concerned. We've really brought that down from my standpoint. We've brought it down from the original ask, to more manageable numbers. And part of that is our project management office go and visit all the departments, talk to them about their needs for the coming year. It's a difficult process because you have to talk to them really 6-7 months in advance before the new year starts. And most people don't really know what they need next year. So to go through this process is a little bit cumbersome, but that's what we do. And, I think we've kind of reined it in so that people provide us more so what they need versus what they want. And we focused in these meetings, we focused on that quite a bit. And in my conversations with Steve, as well as our executive office, I've asked that my ask should be really close to what I'm given. And that's, from my standpoint, is where the 455 increase in capital outlay is. Thank you.
Thank you, Jaco. Commissioner Song.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Jaco. How are
Hi,
you?
Commissioner.
I think you guys sent me a free $25 gift card, which turned out to be a phishing scam. Really thought that was interesting, and I wanted to ask you if there was any plans in the budget for additional training for our employees and everyone who utilizes our email so that we can minimize some of those security concerns in addition to, what happened in the Public Works office.
Absolutely. We focus on that quite a bit, as you've seen lately. Use different avenues to try and, encourage people to pay more attention to security. It is a big shift for us as an organization to get people to help with cybersecurity versus that's IT's problem. And, it's been like that, obviously, in the older type environments, and rightfully so. But now it's not the case anymore. More than 60% of cyber attacks today happen through employees. In other words, somebody open a phishing email or something, and that leads to the next thing, and eventually, you're in trouble and you need to get out of that. So it is a big focus of ours. We kind of in a waiting period here because we're waiting for the new system to come in. The way you input data and so on is different. So if we do it now in NeoGov, we have to do it, in the other one again, the same, and it's a lot of information. But definitely planning on increasing that. And I can also tell you that statistically we have shown so far that phishing campaign is actually working. We have more people reporting phishing attempts as well as less people being caught in phishing attempts. So we definitely see the right direction where things are going and are pretty happy with that.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that we're being so proactive. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Van Sickle.
Thank you, Jaco. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You indicated you think we'll go to more larger off-site systems in the future. I know in the past, I've asked the question about how we're connected to the outside network, and I think the answer was we have a local ring and we have 2 connections to outside.
That's correct.
Specifically, my question today is, are those 2 connections to the outside at different points in the ring?
Yes, and they are completely independent. So in other words, the paths to the outside are through different pathways. They don't cross or ever meet in getting to the right spots.
Okay, good. Thank you. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Haw.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Jaco. I want to nominate Luke and Ro for that gift card that Maya got. 3 times now I've just called them and said, what is this? They say, delete it, get rid of it.
Well,
So
I'm glad you're catching it.
That's, yeah. Well, I had my Instagram hacked by posting a BOC post, and then I had my Facebook hacked, and then I had a third thing hacked, and they fixed them all, so that was great. So now is the time to ask my question?
Yes.
You already know the question, Jacob. $640,000 in the sheriff's budget for multiple items. Do you know if those are gonna be able to be used with the new intake center, or will they have to come back and have them replaced?
The initial simple answer is most of it will be, but there are 2 different buildings here. The difficulty that we have with IT is that our current data center is in the sheriff's office. We are going to move to a new data center, outside of that office. I don't want to give you the information yet, but we are going to move to a new data center. The difficulty is to make sure that connectivity continues and that they stay part of the ring. Because as long as you're part of the ring, that redundancy that Commissioner just talked about, that redundancy is maintained. But as soon as you create like what we call a pigtail off that ring, that office is not redundant. So we have to make sure that redundancy is maintained at all times. So it is, there's certain projects that we will have to do prior. We are working on UPS installations over there. Ben is going to do an electrical study in intake center project. And that's going to help us to further improve that environment. But at this point in time, there's a lot of decisions that need to be made specifically when it comes to power and things like that, because our systems go down when the power goes out, and we need to understand exactly where that power is coming from.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Jake, I've got a few questions. So, first question is cybersecurity. Have we, or have you, looked to contract with any outside companies to do a cybersecurity audit review, anything like that?
We actually have an RFQ out right now. We have 2 companies left that we have to make the decision which company to go with.
Okay.
So we will be coming to the board here probably in the next 2 months.
That's great. So that's going to be in your contract services line item? Okay, perfect. That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Good
No,
answer.
we definitely take that very seriously, so.
And Steve already heard my internal controls questions. He's already got that one under control too. So we're just knocking these all out this year. Next question is capital outlay for you. So last year's budget, you had 900,000, let's see here. 918.5 is what was recommended. It got amended to 850. But your forecast going forward last year was only basically 900,000. This year's budget, you have basically a $2.5 million increase in that line item over the next 3 years. What changed from last year to this year?
I explained in the beginning when we do these meetings with the different departments when it comes to budgeting, it is hard to get departments to commit to what they want 7, 8 months from now. It's even harder to do that when you add another year to that process. So we ask people to please provide us, what you believe your needs are going to be. And we guide them. We don't just come and ask them.
Right.
We have what we call client liaisons that work with these departments all the time. So they would sometimes tell us that these things will be needed at that time and so forth. But certain things we have good control over. One of them is PC replacements, which is part of that budget. Our PC replacements, we know long before, we can go in our software that we use, and we can see exactly when PCs need to be replaced. So we can get a pretty accurate PC replacement budget. But when it comes to items that they need above and beyond what they have today, it is hard to get, and that is truly the difference.
So I think you have one of the most challenging budgets because you have all of these costs underneath your budget when they're primarily related to other departments. I know when this changed, the format of this changed to put it under your budget, which I think is very, very difficult for us to understand and hold those departments accountable based on what their costs are and what their plans are going forward. Because with IT, it changes so rapidly, the cost is only going up. And I mean, just look at your budget from 2021 to this year, it's a $7 million increase. So that's something I think maybe with finance we can work towards something, maybe changing this. Maybe this is like indirect cost allocation, Steve, or a chargeback or something, so we can see what the cost is in that department, so that I don't say it makes your job easier, but we as a board then can see, okay, if this department really did need this and they didn't do it and they're forecasting it out, then we can hold them accountable, if that makes sense.
It does make sense.
The last question I have is, last year you had 3 FTEs that you needed or requested. Have those been filled?
They've all been filled. We just have one open position, and that is a backfill of a promotion for those positions. The holdup really was now the Workday rollout, because that position was filled about 2 weeks before the Workday started and everything was frozen. So we are working right now to get that position posted. And that would be the last one, hopefully.
Okay, great. Okay, let's move on to, I don't see any speakers on these, on the operating side, so let's go over to the technology projects. Take that for a minute. Commissioner Hall already teed that up for us, so.
Thank you.
Sorry,
You
can
can,
I
and I
just?
think. Yep, go ahead. Well, as many items as he actually has in this list, he may need a cooler because there's a lot on here, so. And you can go over them high level. I know there's a lot of small ones, Jaco, so.
Yeah, I'll maybe just focus on the
High
major
level.
ones and
Yep,
if
that's
there's
fine.
specific
And
questions.
if any commissioner has a question on ones, let's just say under, let's just pick a number here. How about anything over 100,000, just really quick? And if a commissioner has any questions on something less than 100,000, you can ask those specifically to Jaco. Fair enough? I think
Okay.
that gets us through.
$100,000
chunk of 'em.
question.
Are they all? No, there's, all the sheriffs are less than that, so.
Who said that?
Well, we already got an answer on it.
I added them all together.
So the first one I'm seeing is scheduling and timekeeping software for the clerk.
Scheduling and timekeeping software for the clerks is software that they would like to implement specifically for scheduling and timekeeping of their staff. This is what they have told us, and that is something that is very important to them. The next one is community corrections. I have the opioid grant funded project. 200,000 is the number that they put in there. They're not exactly sure what the number is gonna be. This really needs to be vetted and worked through, but that's the number that they came up with. I know there's grant funding involved as well, so we're not exactly sure what the ask from the county is going to be. Then there's a 350,000 strategic sourcing item for finance, and that was Mark, our new purchasing manager, that put that in there, and that is the purchasing. There's actually a purchasing module that you can purchase for Workday that manages your whole procurement process, and that's what that money is for. The IT infrastructure at Vic Wertz, that is, once again, Ben talked about that earlier. That is, about that project, and that is for, access and everything at their new location. To be able to, I think part of it is cameras and part of it is building access. And then there's a traffic and safety parking structure upgrade. That's what Ben talked about earlier as well. And that is to upgrade the actual software, for that building, the access software that's being used. That system is pretty old now and needs to be upgraded. One of the challenges we have with that system is when somebody leaves and we remove that person from the system today, it doesn't remove it from that system. You actually have to go in the database and delete that person from that database to remove the person. So it's difficult to keep track of that, especially when there's a situation where you want to, cancel access pretty quickly. The health department has a electronic health medical record system. That is really to replace M&M. Their system that they use today, they have since COVID experienced a lot of concerns with their current system, and they want to replace that system with a better system to run their environment. And that, for example, is one of the systems that will most likely become a software as a service type system. Compute and storage, you can see there, if you look at previous year's budgets, compute storage has always been a pretty high line item. That 401,000 is really to purchase servers that are end of life. It's been quite a while since we purchased the original system. And those are Cisco servers, so when they become end of life, you lose support for them. You cannot have them under support anymore. But after that, you can see following years, there's $1 million, and that at this point in time is also just a number we put in there. That is to replace our footprint for the county, and I believe it will probably be much less at that time. But because our internal or on-prem footprint is reducing significantly. The iSalon, that's our files storage solution. Those things, that is the payments that we make, the 5 payments over 5 years. And as you can see, they end in 2025. But that system will still last for quite a bit. Surveillance camera replacements, you see a number of 250 and then 400. That is the surveillance camera replacements for this building as well as the courts. The original downtown project we did, those cameras are over 5 years old now. And we obviously want to make sure that we don't end up being in the same position we were or are today with, the jail and aging cameras and things like that. So we split it up in 2 years to do the older and more critical cameras first, and then the next year do the rest. Video wall replacement, we've put this on the budget a few years ago, and I think we pushed it out with a year, but it really is time for us to upgrade this. By next year, that system will be 11 years old. And we believe we've done quite a bit with that. It's lasted quite well and still serve us well, but there's things now, there's lots of things that's out of, we cannot get maintenance on them anymore, end of life type systems. Then there's a Workday expansion and integration. That is really, when it comes to Workday, what we have in Workday and didn't have in one solution was that we can integrate systems with that. So if you have anywhere really where there's money involved in process, you can integrate some of your systems to work well, especially our different case management systems in the county. And that is money that we put out there so that we can actually do that. At this point in time, there was no study done. It's just, kind of a number we feel comfortable with at this point to put out there. And then electronic document management. What that is just scanning of documents in the county to make sure that everything becomes electronic. So we do that with different departments. During COVID, did community corrections, health department. We've done a lot of those projects throughout public works. But at this point in time, there's still a lot of work to do. So that's what that is for. Key scan panel replacement at the sheriff's office. That is aged key scan panels. In other words, the system that you use to come through the doors, that card. That is very, very old in the jail, and we gotta replace that system. The panels specifically is providing us lots of problems. The jail door intercom system, that is something that is today ran and managed by radio. And, we want to take that system over do an RFP and get a new system to work with that, because the difficulty with that is that to manage that system is extremely difficult. And, the computers are old, the company that support the system doesn't do a good job, and we have constant problems over at Sheriff with that system. Ben and I have met with the sheriffs on multiple occasions about this. So that's why that number is in there. The jail tracker modules, that is to implement or integrate two systems. They will most likely not integrate. The reason the number is 100,000, from what I understand, they are gonna recode in their system, the jail one system that we use today, they're gonna write it in their system. So that's something that I think that's important to do because it is a very important system for them. The Carpel interfaces, kind of the same thing I talked about earlier. As you know, we've implemented Carpel for the prosecutor's office this year, but they want to integrate their system now with many other systems. For example, court view and things like that. There's a lot of communications that need to take place between those departments to determine on what basis they're going to share data. But we put this in here so that we can, once that is all sorted out, we can then go in and start implementing these integrations. The stormwater asset management project, Brian and I was here the other day. We're here, we talked about that, and that's just next year's contribution for that project, which is 181,000. And then we also did 150,000 for e-commerce credit card payment system. The treasurer's office need to implement a payment system, credit card system for the whole county that's kind of standardized. And we've worked with them, and that's going to be to do it for all the different departments, because that is integrations for each and every system that's out there today that takes money from the public or other sources. And then yep, that's it then.
Okay. I know we got some commissioners have questions here, just really quick. So commissioners, the stormwater asset management project, that should be for Public Works. It's noted here as
Yeah,
prosecuting attorney. Just make a note there for that. And obviously, with these departments, as they come to us during this process, we can also ask them specific questions if Jaco doesn't have all the information for us. Commissioner Brown.
Thank you. The opioid community corrections money that you've got set aside, my question is, they're using it for opioid programs, whatever those happen to be. They're just kind of a ballpark. Steve, is that money coming out of the opioid settlement money? Yeah, okay, good. Will we have a separate, will we review that? How much money we've taken out of there previously and what the plan is going forward? Do we have a budget for that money? Where do we see that breakout?
There's a separate fund in the budget, so when Barb Caskey's here to talk about community corrections, I think that would be the appropriate time to address
Talk
that.
about it at that time. Great. There's a lot of questions about that. Also, the electronic document management program that you're using, the 100,000. Is that just like a pool of money you've got to throw out there when departments need something? Just send it over to them.
We still bring it to the board every time we do one of those.
Oh, I understand.
There's a few, we actually changing our strategy a little bit, because since COVID, we've used a company that has done a pretty good job for us. But we want to go out to this year to do an RFP and get, if it's the same company, fine, but we want to do an RFP to get a company that do all this work for us. And it's a very meticulous, time-consuming job. And these companies do a pretty good job. It's not an easy job. It sounds very simple, but the way you handle documents, and, you know, destruction of documents, all those things is a specific ways, especially when it's confidential stuff. So you got to work through this process and get it all done. And we believe hiring a company to do that for us, full-time pretty much, is going to be the way to go.
That's a smart move. I remember when Edna Miller was clerk and she had a Polaroid she was taking of documents and had a big picture book in some damp old warehouse somewhere, one more in Mount Clemens. So that's an improvement. I have to admit, I have to break with the chairman, and he said not to ask any questions about the panic alarms, but there's a $5,000 item in there that, I got a panic alarm right here. If I press this, does it still work? I wonder if it works. What would happen if I pressed it?
And who
Does it work? Will it work? And does it still
I can
work?
talk about
Has
how-
anyone ever tested it? Hate to find out when I need it, it doesn't work. It's your personal beast.
Those buttons actually self-test, so they talk back to the equipment and they'll tell the equipment that it's not working or functioning correctly. So if it's low battery, something like that,
The answer is no.
it'll work.
It works. You can
Don't
all
push
be-
it now, I'll tell
You
you.
can all be, wish you'd all be happy as long as I'm here, you're safe. Well, temporarily.
That's an item that Ben asked me to please take over.
All right, thank you, Jaco. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Kraft.
Forgive
Thank you,
the
Mr.
delay.
Chair. Jaco, couple questions from Polaroids to Workday. The dollar amount, I know you said we're unsure of that. So these are costs that were not included in the initial purchase. This is for kind of updating, software updating, maintenance. Is that kind of the idea behind it, or what?
No, that's in the actual workday maintenance and all of that, that's included in the maintenance that I
Okay.
gave you. What that is, for example, I'll just use my own department as an example. We have a ticketing system that we use for our procurement and everything. We tie all assets to it, and, you know, so it's a process, you know, that we've been using. Eventually, we would like to integrate that ticketing system with Workday so that you put it in our system and it then goes into Workday, not have to retype everything. And, you know, it eliminates mistakes and all those type of things, but it will also significantly improve our purchasing process. So that's just an example of what that is. But the case management systems like, you know, the courts that take in money, you know, from people and things like that, all those systems eventually, I believe, should be integrated with Workday.
Okay, so it's just taking that next step to really
Exactly.
completely encompass everything
Yeah.
into Workday. Okay. Thank you, Jacob. I think that my next two questions are for Steve real quick. I have another other sources question when it comes to the video wall. Half would be general fund and half would be from other sources. What are the other
The
sources?
idea would be roads, since they
That's
share
roads.
that video wall.
Perfect. And then final question, when it comes to contingency, Steve, when we do these major projects, you know, we build in a contingency in the contracts that we approve, and we already have contingency dollars that go with that. Is this contingency line on top of that, or do those contingency
You're
dollars that
speaking
we-
of the 100,000?
Yes.
That would be on top of that for,
So this is just
foreseen things.
another separate 100,000. Okay.
just for IT projects specifically.
Do you have a dollar amount of what that contingency fund is off the top of your head right now?
We don't carry it in a specific fund. If Jacob
doesn't
doesn't use it, it just doesn't go anywhere.
So
So
basically, it's
General
just,
fund's not putting in 100,000 into a contingency fund somewhere in the capital projects
it's
fund.
just in the capital fund as 100,000 from.
There's nothing in there. So if he wants to use that for some project that's not on the list or something, then he'd come to you for a budget amendment and say that, identify that as a funding source.
Got it. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Jaco, first question I have, scheduling and timekeeping software for the county clerk. I'll ask them this question, but with Workday, I thought that would have been handled.
I think they're looking for something more significant when it comes to actually managing that time. So I think that would be a question best asked
Fair enough.
to the clerk. I did ask that question at the time, and that was how it was explained to me.
E-commerce with the treasurer. I asked in regards to how much we're generating in revenue with credit card processing, what we're paying as a cost by accepting credit cards. I know pretty much everywhere now, even my municipality, if I want to pay with a credit card, they charge me a 3% fee. However, we're not charging a 3% fee. We're eating that processing fee.
That will depend on what system we have and on each department's arrangement, how they want to do that business. I obviously cannot speak for them.
So each department is separate in regards to their e-commerce.
Well, it's going to be the same system, but how they're going to handle that is going to be different, I would assume, because I know that today those things are handled differently. It's different systems, but they also handle how they charge or don't charge.
So I believe I asked this question last year too. So this will be one e-commerce system with our primary bank that will be
Correct.
linked,
Yeah.
correct? Okay. Seeing no other questions, I think we are done with IT. Thank you, Jaco.
Thank you, commissioners.
Okay, next is the capital improvement plan, which we've been talking about, but Steve's gonna talk a little bit more about.
Do they have anything to add?
Of course you don't, Steve. Well, I have a question, Steve, really quick for you on it. The one that we have, when was it last updated as far as the effective date of this document?
The effective would have been right before the budget was or the recommended budget was forwarded to you. I made a couple of typos. For example, the Public Works, instead of prosecuting attorney for the stormwater assessment, and I do need to move some other funding, a couple line items to other funding sources, but the dollars have not been updated
Okay,
since October 2nd.
so first question is, and Commissioner Kraft kind of hinted at this earlier in regards to high levels. So if I look at page 3 of the plan, I'm looking at the numbers. So you're anticipating, obviously, for 2024 to take $3.3 million out of the general fund to accomplish the goals for 2024.
Correct.
Okay. And the capital improvement fund should have approximately 2.3 million in it rolling
At the
over.
end of, yeah, rolling into 24.
Okay. And then next year, as the number significantly increases because of the anticipated projects, so you're suggesting that we're gonna most likely go out for bonding for the 68 million in total relative to accomplish all those plans?
Correct.
Okay. Just looking at the roll forward here on the capital improvement fund, like next year, you're only anticipating $1 million, and then the next year, $4 million, and then going forward, 0. Is that valid? I mean, you're gonna have to have some money flowing through their projects. They're not all gonna be started or completed.
So what I'm trying to display there is dollars coming back in from money we moved to projects that came in under budget, that sort of thing. So I'm trying not to project too far out
Okay,
into the future.
okay. With with all the workday stuff that's happening, I know like you're doing the strategic sourcing, everyone's trying to implement and integrate and make everything work much more seamlessly. I would assume this plan will be easier to complete going forward in future years.
I would agree with you.
All right. All the questions I had. Seeing no other speakers?
Oh, Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Center?
you brought up a statement which Steve may have to explain. Last meeting we had, Thursday, that someone had said, and I misunderstood, that there's $1.5 million not accountable or missing. What was your statement last Thursday?
I don't know what my statement was. I said a lot of things last week. So, I do recall, I mean, I did say, looking at these numbers, what I just referenced now, what Steve is rolling forward to $2.3 million in this fund. And then we were talking about the $1.5 million for the Faith Christian remount of $1.5 million. As Commissioner Kraft and myself were trying to come up with the numbers with Steve on the fly, so that was fun.
Right, that was, we were
Well, I thought it
talking
was-
in reverse and different, looking at it from a different direction, so.
No,
I think we got those numbers figured out by the time Thursday came out.
Yes. I thought you had made a statement unrelated to that about money not, or there was not 1.5 million not accounted for or was not available. Someone had said that to you. Someone else that was not here before you came into the meeting. I'm not sure when they said that to you. You don't remember saying that?
I don't.
Okay, then maybe I'm thinking about.
But I'm sure we can figure it out.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Perna.
I'm not sure this question is for you, Steve, or for Jaco. Have we ever done a asset inventory?
Quite a long time. I can't remember the year, but it's been quite a long. You're talking specific, all assets or specifically computer assets?
All assets.
All assets we had, I can't remember, Commissioner, it's been quite some time.
Don't you think there's a value in that to see how much has been
There is.
misplaced?
We could consider we've replaced so much, and now I think once we bring and get all the assets loaded from the old system into the new system, we do have a list. I would say that there probably is some value to it. You have to put it out to bid and see how much it,
So each
would entail.
department right now, you have an inventory for all buildings, all
for all things
departments,
5,000 or more.
what they should have in their facilities.
I don't know, keeping track of that as
I'm
things
just wondering,
move.
when you replace something, why did you replace it? Because it's missing, or because it broke down, or just got trashed?
It's old and needs to be replaced, generally speaking. I don't hear of a lot of things missing. So replacing furniture and desks and chairs and that sort of thing. I'm not gonna say that, I'll tell you, I agree that there is some value to it. I don't know how much such a thing would cost, something we could look into.
Because if we did an inventory and we think we have this and we only have that, then we have to make an adjustment then.
True. That's true,
Could be significant.
possibly. I'm not gonna say yes or no, of course. So, something we could think about putting out the bid.
Put that in the back burner.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
All right.
Steve, really quick too, on the workday stuff, I know Jaco talked about this, but, you know, when we signed off on that project for $10 million, we had some contingencies built in there, which I think we've used,
Used pretty much all of the contingency
okay.
at this point.
because looking at this again, I mean, there's another 1.4 million on Jaco's side. Is this something where, I guess, and I've even had conversation with the HR, there's modules in there for HR that they could use to help their process. I know we just like literally launched this workday and we're already like so excited about it, and everyone wants all these other modules added in. But at this point, I mean, I'm looking at like another 1.4 million. Other departments are gonna probably want more there. Is that something where, you know, once maybe we get through the first year of workday and then look at the complete package, go back to all the departments and say, is there anything additional, and then put another budget together rather than just throwing numbers at this?
I think that has some merit to it. I think it's gonna take us, I don't know, some period of time, I'll say, several months, just to sort of get used to what we have.
Yeah,
Wrap our
just
heads around
churn,
it,
just churn.
understand it, digest it, know where we're short, where the shortfalls are.
And the
what
reason I say this is
benefits
because
are.
even like in Jaco's budget for the next 5 years, okay, this is probably gonna change in 3 years or in 2
Already has
years. So-
integrations for every year.
Correct.
Where those are gonna come from, yeah, we don't know. We don't know what we don't know
Right,
at this point.
exactly. Okay. Commissioner Brown?
Commissioner Perner raised the question about inventory, what we have, what we don't have. If you're looking for something, we still have the warehouse, we still do the auction sale, don't we? We do that, was it just once a year though, isn't it? Film department was in there last week looking for furniture. Are we sending them to the warehouse first before they go shopping for new furniture? We got some real good quality inkwell desks left over from 1954. And
We tend to, we'd send people to the warehouse looking for furniture first, or to facilities or purchasing to see what's available over there.
get some value. I've shopped there as a private citizen and bought a desk for my son. Thing weighed 500 pounds, but, you know, it's still there. So, anyway, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, seeing no other questions on the capital improvement plan, we will move on. We just need to vote on A, B, and C, receive and file.
Motion passes 11-0.
Okay, next is public participation. This is the opportunity for the public to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes on any issue. Anyone from the public like to speak? Going once, twice. We'll close public participation. Next is commissioner comments.
You cleared the public, Joe.
I sure did. Okay, seeing no commissioner comments, we'll close that. Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Haas, supported by Wallace. See everybody tomorrow.